Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well and enjoying student teaching thus far this semester and staying healthy with all this craziness. I promise, I really think it's going to be over soon, especially with the vaccine, but I want to challenge you on those hard days to remember that every day may not be a good day, but there is good in every day, and I really want you to try to find the pleasure in the simple things of life every day. So today, for my professional development, I am going to be talking to you about selecting quality children's literature. Today, we will be discussing what is children's literature, why is it important to select quality children's literature, things to consider when selecting quality children's literature books. We're going to read an article about the 5 steps towards successful culturally relevant text selection and integration. We're going to talk about how we select quality children's literature and when do we select quality children's literature. We're going to watch this really awesome TED Talk, and it's called Missing Adventures, Diversity in Children's Literature. This lady talks about how there didn't used to be that many diverse books, and growing up, it was hard for her African-American son to see himself in books. And we also are going to have the opportunity to find diverse books that we will be able to use in our future classroom. So, what is children's literature? Children's literature is stories, books, and magazines that kids can enjoy. There are many different genres. For example, fantasy, realistic fiction, historical fiction, and many different genres. So when we're organizing our future classroom, I really think it's helpful to label the books. My 3rd grade teacher has so many books in her collection, but they're all labeled. So when I put them back, they are in their section. And that also helps the kids know, like, if they want to read a fantasy book, they can go to the fantasy section, or bibliography section, they can go to the bibliography section. Another thing going off of children's literature, I hope you're all building your libraries, making them big, and making sure that we're putting diverse books so that all our students can see themselves in our stories. A fun fact that I found about children's literature is it was originally created for adults. Another thing about children's literature is it can teach you lessons about life, whether you're going through a tough time, maybe about the worries about school, or your anxiety, or other life topics like respect, making friends, not teasing or bullying one another, just like our story, Chrysanthemum. This is one of my favorite stories growing up, and we also read it during class. In this story, she loves her name, but when she gets to kindergarten, she no longer loves her name because people tease her. But it ends really well because she likes her name again by the end, and everyone thinks it's really cool that she's named after her grandmother. Another really great thing about children's literature is the colorful illustrations that help make it super engaging and you want to read. Another great thing is the absence of harshness. Stories are very happy, which is really good. The tough topics, things that might not be as happy, those stories always still end on a happy note, which is important for sure. Children's literature is short and the vocab is simple. What do we mean by quality children's literature? It's interesting and engaging. It wants them to keep reading. They want to keep reading. And it also catches their eyes in several ways. It could be the characters, the setting, the plot, or the effective use of the illustrations. Another great thing about quality children's literature is it links with possible experiences. The more the students can relate and connect with what's happening in their story, they will see themselves and it will be more engaging and they will want to be more involved in the story. A strong narrative. They want to make sense of seeing themselves in the people around them. Accuracy of characters. This goes back to the illustrations, like good, powerful, good drawings, accuracy. You really can paint an image in your head about what the character looks like. There's learning opportunities, and these learning opportunities can not only go with English and reading, but also math and science and social studies. You can incorporate quality children's literature in these content areas as well as an effective structure, something that flows. For example, in kindergarten, they like repetition and rhyming, but third grade might like more challenging flow, not necessarily rhyming and that kind of thing. But it really just goes back to the age and what's developmentally appropriate for the age. And knowledge development, teaching them, like I said, in kindergarten, rhyming or punctuation or grammar. Diversity of characterization, making our characters different so that they see themselves. Throughout the book, they don't just see all white characters. They see white characters, they may see African American characters, maybe people in a wheelchair. We really just need to select quality children's literature. So for your future classroom, I'm going to give you some books today that will help you, and we'll also have some time to do some research to go find some stories that we can use. Also, diversity of settings. You don't want to read the same book about school or at home or going for a walk. You want to read many, many different books. That will also help keep the students engaged and want to keep reading. Now that we learned a little bit about what is children's literature and what we mean by quality children's literature, I want you to go to my resource page and go to link number 1, and it will take you to a Padlet, and we're going to spend about 3 minutes here. On this Padlet, I want you to tell me, what do you already know about selecting quality children's literature? On this, you can use visuals or phrases to show your prior knowledge of selecting quality children's books. And when you are ready, you can resume the professional development. So now you may be asking yourself, why is it important to select quality children's literature? Quality children's literature really helps with emergent literacy in oral language. It really helps you with your language development and linguistic awareness. It also allows the students to see themselves, their family, and their community valued. We are all different, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be respected and valued. We can be friends with others who are unlike us. Our world would be very boring if we were all the same. It also builds connections with students and their families. It allows you to get to know your students and their backgrounds and how they do things. And they can also teach their peers when you read about them in your diverse book selection. And the last thing is maintaining interest and motivation. It really helps the students be interested in a topic if it connects to themselves and they can see themselves in the text. And it also can help them motivate each other and explain maybe why they do things the way they do. Things to consider when selecting a quality children's book: the age and whether it's developmentally appropriate. Is the grammar and vocabulary easy to understand? And each student will be different, but developmentally appropriate, it's important to meet the needs of the individual and see whether it's appropriate for that age level. Also, it needs to be entertaining. If it was boring, oh, that's not going to keep even my attention. No, it needs to be entertaining. And if it's entertaining, they'll want to make predictions. They'll want to see what comes next. They'll want to look at the next page of pictures. I know in kindergarten, a lot of the books, they were really, really entertained, and they even wanted to come up and point to objects on the page. Like if they saw a seed, they would want to come and point to the seed. The last one is knowing the purpose of the book. It doesn't do much good if they have no idea why they're reading a book about friendship. If they're just reading about friendship, they're not going to see the value of friendship, the importance of being a good friend and listening to one another and being kind. So now it's time to read my article, How to Effectively Select Culturally Relevant Text. In this article, it's going to tell us 5 steps toward successfully culturally relevant text selection and integration. So on the research page, source page, you will click link number 2, and I want you to spend 7 to 10 minutes, and I really want you to focus on the 5 steps, because after we are going to do an activity with it. So after you spend 7 to 10 minutes reading this article, I want you to resume the professional development video. Welcome back. We are going to refresh the 5 steps toward successfully culturally relevant text selection and integration. I know you just read the article, but I think this will be a good refresher because even it's hard for me to remember. The first one is recognize the need for culturally responsive instruction. The second one is get to know more about your students' lives. And things I've seen to get to know students is interest surveys, asking them questions to get to know them. And it really, everything goes back to building a relationship with your students, getting to know them, making them feel welcome in the classroom and that everybody is accepted. And we all may be different, but that's what makes us special. The third one is search for culturally relevant texts. The fourth one is select culturally relevant text for instruction. And the fifth one is identify critical and personal response opportunities for instruction. So now that I kind of refreshed what the 5 steps toward successful culturally relevant text selection integration, I want you to go to my Jamboard link, which is link number 3. And I want you to think about how do you visualize the 5 steps of selecting culturally relevant text. And on my Jamboard, you're going to draw or find a visual for each of the 5 steps and post it on Jamboard. So you can look at my slideshow to help you remember what each of the 5 steps, and I want you to come up with a visual that will easily help you remember the 5 steps so that when we have a future classroom, we can select culturally relevant text for our students. So how do we use diverse books in children's literature? The first thing we do is plan effective instruction. The second thing we do is avoid misconceptions. A lot of students, especially in the early ages, might have misconceptions. A lot of it is because they are just not aware of other diverse groups, but we can really help this by incorporating diverse books across all curriculums, whether it's math, science, English, social studies. The third thing is, on tough topics, we need to communicate with the teacher, other teachers in our grade, the administration, and even families. For example, Jacob's New Dress is about a boy who wears a dress. And this is a really good book to include because it shows that although Jacob is different and wears a dress, in our society, normally girls wear the dresses. That's what makes him special and unique. And that's okay that he's different than everyone else. And the fourth thing is how we use diverse books is we can build partnerships. For example, if we're talking about diversity in a unit or poverty, we can talk about the food bank of Lincoln. We can partner with them. When do we use diverse children's books? Like I talked about earlier, we can integrate it into all the subjects to help students see diversity is a good thing and that we're all special. We can do it intentionally. For example, same, but different. When we look at this book, we see that there's a white character as well as an African American character. And so this shows us that we have different qualities, but we also can have some of the same talents and characteristics. But that's what makes us unique and special. And like we see in What Can You Do with a Paleta, this is a diverse book that teaches us about Mexican Americans and the way that they do things in their culture. And our last way of when do we use diverse children's book is for bibliotherapy. This helps students heal in those trauma situations, maybe a time of worry, maybe anxiety. Really helps them heal and see that it's okay to have those struggles. Now I want you to watch this TED Talk, and it's link number 4 on my research page. It's called Missing Adventures, Diversity in Children's Literature. This is an amazing TED Talk about a lady whose son is Black, and growing up, they have a really tough time finding books of Black boys. And it just is really inspirational. I know it is 16 minutes, but it is well worth your 16 minutes. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. When you are ready, you can resume this video. I know that I was thinking, how do I find these quality children's books? So I included some websites. UK Literacy Association, Love Reading for Kids, Norfolk Children's Book Center, Just Imagine, Books for Keeps, So before I have you find diverse books that you can use in your future classroom, I'm going to read you parts of 2 books and show you how and why they're quality books. I'm going to start with a book called My Brother Martin. And ran with ML and AD to the firehouse on the corner where they watched the engine and the firemen. The thought of not playing with those kids because they were different, because they were white and we were Black, never entered our minds. I hope you can kind of see that picture, but what I want you to notice on that picture is there are blacks, and whites. And although they're different, they're still waving at each other because we can be friends. This is a really good book because it shows not only African Americans, but it also shows white people, and it shows that they can be friends. I also think this is another great book to incorporate in our classrooms because Martin Luther King was a phenomenal man, and it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day yesterday. So that we are also incorporating history. And whenever we can integrate history and stuff to relate to society, that is very beneficial as well. So this would be a very quality book because you see diversity throughout it. My next book is Be You. My wish for you, no matter where your journey leads, is for you to always be you. Be ready to take the next step toward being an amazing human being. Be curious. Turn every stone, ask every why, and keep digging deeply. Discover your own answers. Be adventurous. Live a big life. When you're ready, step outside your comfort zone. Bravely explore new paths and see where they lead you. Be connected. Find kindred spirits. Be with those who make you feel like the real you. Be persistent. Keep going, never stop. Keep going, never stop. Keep going, never stop. I just wanted to read a few pages of that book because Be You, it's telling you we're all different. Be you. Be brave. Be persistent. We're all different, but that's what makes us special. And I also think this is a quality book because it includes many different characters. Black characters, redheads, girls, boys. That is very important. We need our students to see themselves in our stories. It will make them feel more connected and they will be more engaged throughout our reading. So now that I showed you 2 examples of quality children's books, I want you to go to link number 5. And when you click link number 5, it's going to take you to a slideshow. And you are going to find your name, and I want you to spend 5 to 7 minutes longer. I think this is a very beneficial activity, and find books that you could use in your future classroom. If it's a bibliotherapy book, or if it's teaching a lesson about friendship, respect, any of those things will be great books to use in your future library. And hopefully you're already starting to have those diverse books in your library. So again, you're gonna go to the link, find the slide with your name, and post pictures or text of book titles that you can use in your future classroom. And when you are done with that, you can resume the video. I'm excited to see the many different diverse books that are out there. I know I found a lot as I've been researching this topic as well. So today, I know we discussed a lot. We discussed what is children's literature, why is it important to select quality children's literature, things to consider when selecting quality children's literature. We read an article about the 5 steps towards successful culturally relevant text selection and integration. How do we select quality children's literature? When do we select quality children's literature? We watched that amazing TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did about missing adventures, diversity in children's literature. And I gave you time to find books that you can use in your future classroom, and I hope you're already building those libraries since one more semester of school left before we teach on our own. And last but not least, you're gonna go to link number 6, and I have a Flipgrid. And I just wanna know one thing that you learned and we'll use with you in your future classroom really soon. Thank you for joining me today for my professional development. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you have a great rest of your semester student teaching, and I'm excited to see you guys at the next pullback day. Have a great rest of your night.